it going, YouTube? My name is Blake Yarbrough and welcome back. Today we are unboxing all the way from the beginning a sneaker that is probably going to be maybe the most limited sneaker that I've ever purchased in my entire life. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this open. And once we get this, okay, it's in a box. I was afraid to cut this bag because I didn't want to damage the box. But we've got a very, very limited sneaker here, which was a Nike collab with a store that we have here in Atlanta, but started in Charlotte. And I'll show it right here, Social Status. So that is a retail store that has gotten a few collabs with Nike over the last few years. And this is one that is very, very limited to only 500 pairs. Really don't know how to open this. Got it. All right, so here is the box. Very interesting box, different than like the standard Nike box. We've got like a vintage type lid on here. Griffey's gonna go crazy for this. All right, so we've got the Nike Waffle One SE, size 11, in my size. This was a shoe that was raffled off on Social Status's website, and the story behind how this shoe was released was you could go on to Social Status's website and you could enter to be able to purchase these, which the retail on them was 120 bucks. Yeah, so you could enter to purchase these, but you could also enter to donate money, and that money went to help Black and brown families in Houston that were displaced or having financial troubles due to that recent winter storm that happened a few weeks ago. And I think over $76,000 was raised to go to that community. So that's why I wanted to mention this first, is that's a really interesting way to release a sneaker, and it's also a really good way to release a sneaker. And I think brands are starting to move towards that kind of idea of using a product like a sneaker or clothing or whatever it may be to actually like help improve or give relief to a community or a area that may be hurting or need the money. And so I think that's something that's really cool. So I want to give a special shout out to James Whitner and also Social Status, the Whitaker Group, that created this sneaker and also had the thought of doing that to help out the families in Houston. But without further ado, let's go ahead and open this sneaker, which I've seen images online. This is such a cool sneaker. It's only gonna get cooler from here. The paper is a really cool like cartoon look to it. And let's get the shoe out first. Wow. So here we have the first look at the Nike Waffle One, the Whitaker Group exclusive. This sneaker is so sick, and I'm going to share with you guys all the details of the sneaker, the story behind the sneaker, because I was actually able to speak with the designer Frank Cooke, who has done a lot of cool projects, shoes that you probably love. My favorite that he's worked on is probably the Nigel Sylvester one, because it had that kind of vintage Jordan 1, that worn in look right out of the box, and this one's very similar. So obviously Frank knows what he's doing when it comes to making a shoe that already looks old. But the inspiration behind this one was the Nike Waffle, originally created by Bill Bowerman, one of the creators and founders of Nike, the brand. So this shoe has a lot of history, and from talking with Frank, this is a story that really hasn't been told on a sneaker. And so luckily we had him to be able to tell that story, and he did a great job. And so we'll go ahead and get both of these out. There is an extra set of laces that comes with these right here, and they look old. The shoes and the shoe laces already look old right out of the box. These have like a rust look to them. So that's what they were going for, is what Frank told me was kind of like a rust or like a burnt kind of look to the shoe overall, and the laces as well. And the story goes something like Bill Bowerman was having breakfast at his house and he was trying to come up with an idea or a way to improve and create a better outsole for track shoes. The idea hit him that he should use a waffle maker, and that was the whole inspiration. And the history of the shoe is that he used an actual waffle iron. That's why that whole outsole, I've got another shoe to show you guys here, the Tailwind, which has a very similar style outsole. It's this waffle outsole, and that's where the whole history, the name, all of that comes from, is Bill Bowerman coming up with this crazy idea to use a waffle iron to create outsoles for sneakers, for track shoes specifically back in the day. And as you may know, the original shoe sold for a ton of money at an auction, I think last year maybe. And so this is kind of like the rebirth, or like the modern day version of the waffle sneaker. Really, it's just to pay homage to that original shoe. And so Frank was able to do that, I think, incredibly well. And so we've got just really a mashup of materials here. On the upper, we've got like a very light mesh here overlay with another mesh here on the toe box. We'll show it kind of like this. Then on the toe box, or the mud guard right here, you've got kind of like a rough suede. The leather on the swoosh is black and it's cracked to create like an aged effect. It looks amazing in person. We'll get you some up close shots as well. But this shoe right here is just meant to pay homage to that sneaker. And then on the midsole, as you can see, I think it's something that really sticks out. You've got like this antique finish on the midsole, much like another sneaker that we saw last year, which was the Travis 270. Now this one, I removed the paint or the antique finish off of this, but it's a very similar look. So you can see maybe they drew inspiration from that as well. But Frank did a really great job of telling the story, and essentially this shoe is extremely limited. Only 500 pairs produced, and they're individually numbered. My pair, I looked inside, is pair number 415. So right there inside the tongue, 415 of 500. This is a really, really limited sneaker. The most limited sneaker that I've ever been able to purchase for retail price. Now I did donate on top of purchasing this sneaker because I wanted to not only try to own the sneaker, but if I'm able to help out somebody in need. So I was able to donate some extra money on top of that. But this is a really cool sneaker, and it was something that I wanted to get as a collection type piece. Any sneaker that tells a really good story, which obviously this one is like the origin of Nike, which is my favorite brand. So why would I not want to try to own a sneaker that tells that story? And I think this shoe tells the story so well. There's so many unique features, like here on the back heel tab, you've got like kind of like this overlay of suede, but then there's like a Nike swoosh behind the mesh right there. Really interesting. There's also some other like small swooshes, like here near the forefoot, there's like a small one behind there. It's just a really interesting sneaker. This mesh is all open, so depending on what kind of socks you wear, you'd actually be able to see through this. And it's a really interesting shoe. I would say this is kind of like a light tan or like brownish color, and again, that's meant to represent like a rust, like the shoe has aged, it's just old, or like a burnt waffle type of look. That's the inspiration for the sneaker, is everything revolves around waffles, essentially like creating a shoe with a waffle maker. So this, guys, is just one that I think is really special. We'll show the outsole again, and then you've got right here on the heel, established in 1972. Of course, that's when Nike was originally created. Got Bill Bowerman like kind of mixing up some batter, and then over here the batter is like spilling with the shoes coming off of his feet, and they land in the waffle maker, and then essentially the Nike waffle sneaker was born. And so that's something that's really cool. Obviously it pairs really well with the sneaker and the history of the shoe, and then you've got the same exact thing on the insole. Really cool. I'm super excited. I can't believe that I was able to get these. I've gotten some limited sneakers in the past and gotten really lucky, but never anything that's below 1,000 models produced. So to have this sneaker is really special. Maybe I can get Frank to sign my box or something like that, because this is one that I don't want to get rid of. I want to just keep them for the history of the shoe, and just as a sneaker collector, I love a good story, and this is one that's one of the most special stories that could be told. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Is this a sneaker that you went for? I don't know how many people actually knew about this sneaker during the release, but it was something that if you follow Social Status, you follow Frank or James Whitner, you would know, or even if you follow any of the sneaker blogs, they pretty much all reported about these. But this is one that I wanted to share with you guys because it's special to me as far as being a Nike enthusiast, a Nike lover, and just loving the history of sneakers in general. This one is one that I think you just need to know about and know the story behind them, because that's what makes sneakers, is really the stories behind them. Yeah, there's some cool collabs and colorways and things that come out, and there's a lot of hype behind them, but overall to me it's all about the love for shoes in general, and this is one that I think you can't ignore. It's such a cool way. If you know, you know. And shout out to Social Status for making such a dope sneaker with Frank Cooke, one of the most legendary, in my opinion, shoe designers over the last 5 to 10 years. I've loved a lot of his work, so shout out to you guys for making a dope sneaker. I'm glad that I have it here to put on display. Not sure that I'll bust these out. I really want to keep these nice and clean, but this is a really dope sneaker. Thank you guys for sending them out to me. Obviously I just got lucky and got selected, but lucky to have these, lucky to just be able to share them with you guys in a video. And with that, we're on to the next sneaker.